this card's pretty good. So Kalbag the Ancient Vanguard is a level 4 Earth Fairy monster that reads, if a card is sent from the hand and or deck to your opponent's graveyard, you can target one opponent's special summon monster, special summon this card from your hand, and then return that monster to the hand. And also, if this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can send the top 5 cards of each deck to the grave. Then, if you have Exchange of the Spirit in your grave, you can set one trap from your grave. You can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. So I think you can already see it, but this card is a reactive hand trap that relies on your opponent sending a card from the hand or deck, and then bounces back any special summon monster to the hand, which is actually pretty interesting against monsters summoned from the extra deck. That's huge because it can really hinder your opponent's ability to like keep on extending, linking off, and then climbing up, etc. And also it can get rid of already existing negates on the field, such as, I don't know, Sword Soul Chi-Jiao, for example, that can't really deal with this card. And not to mention that the part that actually bounces back a monster is also the same as the effect to special summon itself. So in other words, it doesn't trigger on the field, so it's immune to stuff like skill drain. It's basically like the virtual world monsters, and of course Forbidden Chalice obviously doesn't do anything against it. And yo, let's be real for a second. Everybody and their mother is trying to send cards from the hand and their deck to the graveyard, so this card really isn't that hard to summon at all. You also generate a body on the field, which is a level 4, pretty nice. It's, I want to say, the best level in the entire game, so you can make rank 4 Xyz, or link off, or synchro climb, or do whatever you want. And the funny thing about this card is that I still haven't mentioned the second part of the effect, which is ridiculously good when you think about it. If you mill this card or discard it or whatever, both players mill the top 5 cards from their deck to the graveyard, so obviously there is a world in which your opponent can also benefit from this, but at the same time, if your deck benefits the most out of it, because you might be playing, I don't know, Fairy Tail Snow or Farfa, for example, you're gonna be in a pretty good position, not gonna lie. So check this out, even if your opponent negates this card with something like, I don't know, Baroness, for example, the card gets negated and destroyed. So in other words, it gets sent from the hand to the graveyard, and it will trigger its second effect, which allows you, obviously, to mill 5 cards. And you could technically mill a card that would get rid of an opponent's interruption, which basically means that you get to basically trade 1 for 2 depending on the situation. Yo, imagine playing this card in, I don't know, branded Tearlaments, milling freaking a Tearlament monster, then fusing for like wind down your opponent's turn. Jesus, oh my god. Imagine a hand trap that gets value even when it gets negated. That's absolutely absurd. No other hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh! Functions that way. If you, let's say, use Ash and it gets negated by something like Baroness or whatever, it goes to the graveyard and then nothing happens after that. But with this card, no. It feels like it still has a purpose to achieve, and that's exactly what it's trying to do. It's going to be milling 5 cards and potentially getting your stuff going, so you can increase the consistency of your deck, bait negates, but also break some other negates with the cards that you're foolishing. You really have to play it in the right deck, though, because you can't just randomly splash this in every single deck. Like in Flunderies, milling cards isn't actually good, and that's really the message of this video, and basically every single video that I upload. When I review a card, you gotta take everything with a grain of salt and not necessarily think that everything is going to be a universal staple, because this hand trap is ridiculously good, but it is good in the right deck. So I'm not necessarily saying to main deck this card, but it could definitely have huge impact in the metagame in the future, depending on how the format shifts up. And obviously the fact that, like I said, it trades 1 for 2 means that it might be the superior side deck option, depending on if people can actually make consistent negates turn 1. And I really want to compare this to the Saki Imperm and Multi-Faker combo, where people summon Silk Wiltis turn 1. I feel like this is basically almost just a Saki, because bouncing back a monster is a really good mechanic. I want to say almost no card really functions that way. Maybe Gamma and Ghost Ogre can actually clear a monster, but for the most part, we mainly have negations, and they're sometimes not really enough. Again, though, this card applies massive pressure because of how many things it can actually do in just 1 card, and that's the reason why I actually believe that this card should definitely be played as a 3 of in the side deck in really combo-heavy decks against combo-heavy decks. So yeah, I'd give this card a solid 9.5 out of 10. Obviously, my grade is going to change depending on how it will see play in the future, but for now, I'm definitely a big fan of this card. So that's pretty much all I had to say for this video. Let me know your thoughts about this card in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.